brand new matte black Ford Mustang of JTP. That's Justin Pollock, campaigning the Roush engine setup. Roush Performance Car Crafters. So going back to the score of our last driver of Conrad Grunwald, that's a 70, a 7-0, 70 for Conrad Grunwald. All right, so. All right, so you can see, again, him and Michael Essa both running that flat black scheme. He throws it into view. Off the touch and go. Presley pours on. A little bit twitchy there, but gets nice proximity. Brings it on through, tapping that front clip, makes some noise for the black stallion that is JTP, Justin Pollock. All right, so you can see Justin Pollock's run there. Let's see what kind of score he grabs. And that is another 70, a 7-0, a 7-0 for Justin Pollock. Remember, hashtag FDLB. Let me know if you're watching. Everybody throw up some photos right now. Let me know what kind of weird place you guys are watching this at. Right. Here we go. Now it's Dean Carnage Carney coming to us from Ireland. Look at that. Aggressive flick. Bringing the Dodge Viper back for another year. Oracle lighting as well. So it's great to see him campaign that vehicle and line up those big Achilles radial meat hooks. Make some noise for Dean Carnage Carney. Really fluid run. Just seeing that car progress over the years with Dean behind the wheel is just such a good thing. Surprisingly looking very nimble through the course. All right, so all right, we are getting into the top 6 drivers at this point. You can see Kenny Moen. Kenny Moen on the start line. Been thrashing on this car. You didn't hear much from him in the off season. So a 68. That was a 68 for Dean Carney. As you can see, Achilles tire, but Got Bill, the infamous event Got Bill, sponsoring his car, STR Racing Wheels. Whoa, coming in. Wow. Off the throttle, man, just, it always blows my mind the way he almost, almost looks like he's gonna go into the wall and then just basically saves it. Really fluid through the course. You see Kenny initiate, could get deeper to the touch and go, but then saves it, basically. Saves it to get close to the other clipping zones. A decent run, but there's definitely a better one out of Kenny Moen. This is somebody I'm really excited to see. He finished 5th overall. All right, going back to Kenny Moen, a 68. Now we're into our top 5 drivers. This is somebody, again, I'm really excited to see him run. Suppose he's got even more horsepower, more speed. This is Forrest Wang in the Get Nuts Laboratory S15. You could tell by the applause from the fans here in the building, he's definitely garnered a lot of attention over the years. Now let's see. Look at the smoke machine pouring out of the back of that Silvia. Whoa! Getting really tight to the wall. Do we have a new points leader? Look at the smoke just absolutely dumping out of the back of the Silvia. Make some noise for Forrest Wang. Wow, a solid run. Let's take a look at it again. Absolutely spot on. And that, watch the touch and go. He goes under the bridge. So first off, works it the whole course. Ping, pong. Coming into that right there, dragging along that rear clipping zone. Nice job. Doesn't scratch his Super Doof 2F Performance body kit. Keeps it off the wall. That brand new Super Doof kit. Looking solid. I know Forrest, you know, over the years, it's just great to see Forrest. You know, I remember one event he showed up, it was all about deep dish and stance and this and that. And then just over the years, he still has the style, but he's now complemented it with a lot of horsepower and good drivability. So all that equates to a 90, a 9-0 for Forrest Wang. A 9-0 for Forrest Wang. As we're now into the top 4, getting into our driver who finished 4th overall. He's got a brand new sponsor. It's ARC Performance. It's a V8 under the hood of this Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Now take a look at as ARC debuting this vehicle with Odie behind the wheel. Standing on it through the course. Now this vehicle will be traveling internationally for him to campaign it. Both in Canada, Japan, and then eventually, ideally, China. And given the way Odie has progressed over the years, some of the most exciting chase runs I've seen here in Long Beach was featuring Odie. Jeff Stone back joining us here in the bleachers. He's about to make his way back down. As we are waiting for the score. A 78, a 78. Is that Young? How we doing, homeboy? Young T. All right, so a 78 there for Odie Bakshis. All right, top 3 drivers. 2010 Formula Drift champion, Vaughn Gittin Jr. You can see him back there warming up his Nitto tires. Now, when he debuted this livery, you saw the 2015 Mustang RTR Spec 2. That vehicle is a prototype, looking to develop that vehicle and be in competition ideally next year. He's going to be also doing some traveling as part of the Gum Out gang, and here we go. That Monster Energy, you got the M-Claw on the side. Let's see if Vaughn Gittin Jr. can put it down here and get back to championship form. Check out a variety of the Mustang RTRs, Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s signature Mustang line, as well as the Ultimate Fun Haver. He's got his own Ford F-150 EcoBoost over there. Here we go. And this is Vaughn Gittin Jr. Coming in view of the judges. Nice job. Gets to that touch and go. Getting tight to the wall. Brings on around that final clip. Vaughn Gittin Jr. using the whole track. Makes some noise for the 2010 Formula Drift champion, Vaughn Gittin Jr. Remember, we didn't see all the drivers run the course. Tanner Faust, most notably, making his re-entry into Formula Drift competition. Speaking of champions. As Vaughn really got to that outside clipping zone. Front wheels really locked there, nice showing. And an 86 for Vaughn Gittin Jr. All right, finished 2nd overall in the Formula Drift Championship in the 2014 season. He grabbed the new sponsor, that is Rockstar. He is in the Papadakis Racing Rockstar Energy Hand-Cooked Tires Scion TC. He is the Norwegian Hammer, Fredrik Osbo. Here comes Osbo. Into the touch and go, nice job. Under the bridge. Into the judge's wall. How's he going to fare around this final clip? And nails it. Nice job. Could be a little closer, but man, just very smooth. and they make it look so easy. I mean, that's kind of just going through the paces. That's not, because, you know, some of these guys, you got to remember, you're not going to win in qualifying. You got to make it to the show, and you got to make it to head-to-head. And now with, you know, only about 38 drivers, your percentage of advancing on the top 32 is a lot better. So Frederick Osbo in this instance goes through the paces, puts down a solid run, and that'll definitely get him in top 32. 89 and 89 for Frederick Osbo, and 89 for the Norwegian Hammer behind the wheel of that 4-cylinder turbo Scion TC, which, you know, I mean, there's only a couple 4-cylinder turbos out there. You know, you got Dave Briggs campaigning that one, and you got obviously Frederick Osbo. As now here is our 2-time champion, 2009, and most recently 2014 Formula Drift champion Chris "The Force" Forsberg in his NOS Energy Drink hand-cooked tires, G70Z. Goes out to the touch-and-go transition. Whoa! Tight to the wall. Brings it to the judges' wall. Downshifting into that final clip and takes out that cone. We'll see how it affects it. Showing you a little bit of evidence of why he won. He won this event last year. So can he repeat again? This is where he won. But then we talked about Osbo, we talked about Von Gittin Jr., and those gentlemen took Forsberg out every time. So except in Irwindale, actually, when it really counted for Forsberg. The Hoonigan himself, Chris Forsberg. A reminder, each driver has 2 non-consecutive runs, meaning we'll go back down to the bottom of the order and work our way back up to the top. All right, so Chris Forsberg gets a score, a 94. Now our current #1 qualifier, a 94. So with Chris Forsberg being a #1 qualifier, we'll go back down on the bottom of the order, but our very own Lorette Nickel caught up with last year's #1 qualifier, Michael Essa. Lorette?
He has a brand new car, and in 2014 he qualified first. Michael Essa, unfortunately, you didn't qualify first with that last run. What happened out there?
Well, it's a brand new car for us. We basically have 1 test day in it, and it's just not dialed in yet. So we've got a lot of understeer in the car, and it's pretty inconsistent right now. So sometimes I could throw an angle and the front end will wash out and everything will be okay. That last run, threw an angle and started to wash out, and then the front end gripped up and over-rotated. It felt like everything was pretty good before that. Tapped the wall, and it was all solid, but it didn't like it. So we'll go back out on our second run and try again. But, I think the car's pretty solid, and when we get some more seat time and more development, it'll be a competitive car.
Do you have enough time to dial it in for today?
No. Basically, it is what it is, and we're just going to run it like that and see what we can do.
Any adjustments that you can make?
I think we're going to go back to the shop tonight and try to do some stuff, but not enough time in between the 2 qualifying runs to make any changes.
Okay. Michael, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, right on. Thank you so much, Lorette. Thank you, Michael Essa. And as he said, that's, Ryan, we talked about it. Basically, when you debut that new car, that's a calculated risk. How well prepared is the vehicle? How well prepared are you behind the wheel of that vehicle?
Yeah, and I think also that opportunity for Michael kind of came late into the season, or the off season rather. Didn't really know what was going to be happening with the program, and kind of learned about it a little bit after SEMA. So you got the holidays, and then January, February, March, and you're pretty much there. You got to take delivery of the vehicle. You got to find the things you need to put on the vehicle and try to put a program together. But it's challenging. Yeah,
and think about it. He went from a BMW, speaking of BMW, to a Chevy. So parts, obviously aren't transferable. Here we go. So again, from Latvia, this is Kristaps Blues. Yeah, nice job, Kristaps. Woo! Kristaps making his maiden voyage into Formula Drift competition. A bit of a hiccup there, not as fluid as I'm sure the judges would have liked, but man, an impressive run there for I mean, no testing. I mean, that car just came in and arrived at LAX via air yesterday. So, man, no testing. Threw it on a plane and then just threw it on the track. So, a good showing regardless. Hopefully, Kristaps can make it into top 32. All right, so Kristaps waiting for his score. A 53 for Kristaps. So the judge is really not liking that approach. I mean, a good showing here through the sweeping turn into the rear clipping zones, but that front clip was the real, one I think that stood out even in my mind. All right, here we go. Next up, and this is Yokoi D-Max Sylvia S15. Oh, Yokoi, you could see him throw his hand up. He knew it was all over. Man, Ryan, I mean, we sound like, we were talking about how much of a threat Yokoi can be, and unfortunately, that's not the Yokoi we saw before.
No, it's not. I mean, he was definitely on a different level in Japan. He was taking everybody out, all the way down to the finals, including Daigo and Frederick Osbo. Maybe he's just got to have a little bit more development in that car over here and try to dial it in. But it's a long season, We'll see if he makes it into the top 32, but it could be a tough challenge.
All right, so UTI Long Beach. All right, here we go. And this is Tanner Faust. Tanner Faust is running here in his Rockstar Energy Drink Volkswagen Napa chassis. Look at that. Lighting up the Nitto tires. Brings around that final clip, brings it on home. Will that be enough to see the two-time Formula Drift champion after being gone for 5 years? Will we see him in a head-to-head battle? Let's take a look at this run again here. On initiation, rolling into it, hitting the touch and go. Quite a few feet off of that rear clipping zone through there. A very fluid run, but definitely an opportunity to gain some points in those rear clipping zones. Is it enough to get him into top 32? A 67 for Tanner Faust. So, yeah, like I said, not a great run, very fluid. So we'll see where he lands. As we can see Matt Kaufman. All right, so Matt Kaufman from Medford, Oregon. Kaufman Racing S13. Coming into turn 9. He went backwards into that wall earlier today, but now keeps it off the walls and on that final clip. Nice job from Matt Kaufman. All right, so Kaufman puts down a run. Let's take a look at it again here. Rolls into it, could have been closer on the touch and go. Good transition, about 1.5 feet off. Looking settled through the course and then around that final clip. A 65, a 6.5 for Kaufman. All right, so we are finding out that Brandon Wicknick has called a competition timeout. He has 5 minutes to get his car prepared for battle. as well as James Evans will be calling a competition timeout after this if he is not up to it. But I'm seeing Dan Savage pull the line. Here comes Little Tex, Nate Hamilton from Rowlett, Texas. Njugu Racing, Falcon Tires. NK Wheels, S13. Nice job pouring on that more angle, getting that proximity. Quite a bit of distance off of that rear clipping zone. Brings it on home, nice and fluid, but could be tighter. Make some noise for Nate Hamilton. A little bit of wind kicking up here in Long Beach. If you're watching at home, apologize for the microphone noise. As we are seeing Nate Hamilton, his second run, or excuse me, yeah, his second run, but the replay of it. A 67 for Nate Hamilton. All right, we are clear to send.
Sending card 314.
All right, so here is Dan Savage. Dan Savage throwing it into that wall. Nice job, Sicky. Lighting up the Achilles, Dan Savage and that V8-powered Mazda RX-8. Nice job by Dan Savage from Manassas, Virginia. All right, taking a look at Dan Savage's replay here. All right, so 83 and 83 for Dan Savage, a solid run. Virginia is for drifters. Nice job by Dan Savage. Jeff Jones now on the line. As James Evans did call a competition timeout, coming all the way from Maryland. The other vehicle in that Sicky team. Sicky manufacturing parts and some bits to put LS engines into those vehicles, the Z and the RX-8. As Jeff Jones waits patiently on the start line, the DNA Automotive, Hankook Tires, S14. All right, here we go with Jeff Jones. He had a good first run. Can he better it? Yeah, Jeff. Oh, a wide swing around that final clip. I want to thank our sponsors who make this event possible. This is Formula Drift presented by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. The United States Air Force, the official military sponsor of Formula Drift. Ford, go further. Hankook Tires, be one with it. Hankook Tires. Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And Achilles Tire, tires you can trust. As we await Jeff Jones' score, taking a look at his replay. His score is in. It's a 65, a 6-5 for Jeff Jones. Here's the young buck, Alec. Alec Honadell, 11 Racing, S14 from Destin, Florida. right, so Alec, so now actually we are seeing Wicknick back out there. All right, so looks like we are potentially informing Alec that we will alternate the order. All right, Brandon Wicknick, that Chase Bays Run 2 JZ S13.
Car 801.
All right, here comes Wicknick. Remember, follow Formula Drift on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Join the conversation in many different ways. Formula Drift at Formula D. Here we go, Wicknick. Let's see if we can throw, oh, and that's a big correction, and that will be all she wrote for Wicknick. So unfortunately for Brandon Wicknick, how we doing speed design, watching? So that is a 0. Let's make that official. That is a 0 for Brandon Wicknick. Concept Industries, Hawaii Celery, thanks for watching. Inertia Images, Tofu Drift Fan, how we doing? Diego Santa Drift. All right, getting a conversation here. Rattel Entry. Speed More Drift. Boss Motorsports team watching. As we are seeing Pat Mordaunt on the start line. Here we go, Falcon Tires, Drift Paddock, Koenig Run BC, 350Z. Yeah, attaboy Pat. All the way out. Rear clipping zone, gaining some applause from the fans. Make some noise for Pat Mordaunt. Pat Mordaunt putting down a solid run there. Could have been closer under the bridge, but finished it off nicely. Take a look coming into that touch and go. Like I said, quite a few feet off, but then right here tightens it up, making it a lot more fluid. You can see those front wheels. And then brings it on home. So Pat Mordaunt should hold his head high because he just got a 77 for Pat Mordaunt. All right, Super Ick 21 watching at home. All right, here we go, Dave Briggs Racing, S14. Working the whole course, but similar lines to Pat Mordaunt right now. Almost identical. Gotta say, Briggs with a bit more angle than Mordaunt. Off the throttle, then back on it. Bringing it on home. Let's take a look at Briggs' run and see how he does. All right, Dave Briggs, a strong showing, which receives an 80, an 8-0 for Dave Briggs. So everybody upping the ante with every run. Somebody really needs to put it down now is Mats Betterbo. Here we go, Mats Betterbo. Golden Net, Mark II of the Betterbo family. I know mom's watching at home. Dad's in the building. Yeah, tagging the wall. Losing the back bumper. It's a long distance from the driver to the trunk. From the windows to the wall. And there it is for Mats Betterbo, the Golden Net, Mark II. So, all right, a 49. Wow, so a very low score for Mats. Just, man, pretty low. So Mats Betterbo with a 49. All right, so our next driver was to be Alec Honadell, but we are seeing that he's calling competition timeout, and he is leaking oil, so not what you need, not what you want. You can see his team feverishly running to the start line. All right, we are clear to send our next driver. And that is Mark Landerville. Mark Landerville Racing Perry Performance 2JZ S14. He's from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Brings it on in. Oh, nice job by Landerville. A lot of these guys going for that touch and go. You can see inside Landerville's cockpit. Really driving it hard. Then there's Mark Landerville's second run. All right, so getting the Perry Performance 2JZ S14 score. He's running that standard suspension, run BC internals. It's Brian Crowder as waiting for Landerville's score. A 71 for Mark Landerville. So you can see Alec's team standing around his vehicle, the Get Nuts Laboratory supercharged V8 vehicle of Alec. You can see his pops down there as well. All right, our next driver was to be Jun Meng, and we saw him on his first run get towed off on the flatbed, and he's calling competition timeout again. So we will see if he gets it back together or gets it even to run, as unfortunately he wasn't able to run on that first run. That's what it is. All right, so. All right, here we go. And so Alec is back out there and running in the Get Nuts Laboratory. S14. Man. Drop a little oil and gain some horsepower or something, man. Nice run by Alec. A good showing by Alec. Let's take a look at that again. Our initiation. So again, compromise that touch and go, but getting closer to the bridge rear clipping zone, because we call that a touch and go because it's not a defined clipping zone when they come into turn 9. Turn 10 would be the long sweeping turn that basically goes left to right, and then 11 would be the hairpin. All right, so an 86 for Alec Honadell. This is Jeff Stoneback. Jay Wang, Stone Cold Stoneback. Giving a shout out to his brother Mark Lenardon. See if he can put it down and better his first score. I believe it was an 81 if I can recall. Good job by Stoneback. Stoneback absolutely doing a phenomenal job last year in Pro 2. Made a big name for himself showing up here last year, and without running any runs, went down here and qualified top 32 and just put down a solid run. An 81 once again there for Jeff Stoneback. An 81 for Jeff Stoneback. Jonathan Castro here. The E3 batteries, Hankook tires, Progresso 370Z from Dominican Republic, running Voodoo 13 suspension. Here comes Jonathan Castro. Way shallow on the touch and go. Aggressive flick. Ends up biting him there. A quick run through the course, very shallow in front of the judges. Not a great run there for Castro on his second run. Take a look at it again. Like I said, right out of the gate, just threw it in way too shallow. Could not fight back from that. All right, so a 48. Like I said, not a great run. Still get some points, and that being a 48 for Castro. All right, here we go. Charles Ng, Maxxis, sparkplugs.com, ready, tuned. G37. Woo! Nice job there by Charles Ng. Brings it through the sweeper. Onto that final clip. Makes some noise for Hong Kong's own Charles Ng. Part of that Team Orange team. Finished 22nd overall last year. as we take a look at Charles Ng's instant replay here. Looking a lot better from last year. A lot smoother and fluid, gaining him a 75 on his second run. Shout out to I Drink Good Beer. How we doing? Brian Cass. All right, here we go. Chelsea Denofa back at it. Whoa, Denofa throwing his BMW at the wall. Barely keeping it off there, tapping it really hard. I mean, going wall to wall. Make some noise for Chelsea Denofa. Going hard into the paint, literally. Take a look at this again as Denofa barely avoids those tires. You see the filmer back up, and then right here he just goes a little too hard into it. Bam. Slapping the base, big time. And obviously the GoPro cameras capturing all the footage up close and personal, you know, don't want anybody to get hurt, but you put those cameras, you kind of risk them, you put them out there, they can be the hero and you can live to see an adventure another day. Here we go. Waiting for Chelsea Denofa's score. As Pat Gooden is on the start line. 61, a 61 for Chelsea Denofa. As Pat Gooden and Juku Racing Falcon tires S13. From Rockledge, Florida. His mom Donna and grandma are at home watching. Here we go, here comes Pat Gooden. A little bit off that clipping zone. Fluid through the course. Nice job. The twin turbo V8 setup under the hood of the S13. Make some noise for Pat Gooden. An 82 for Pat Gooden. An 82 for Pat Gooden. All right, so June Meng is to the start line. June Meng is back up there. The Lucas Oil Design Craft 2JZ powered BMW Z4. He's on Achilles radials this year. Oh man, this car just getting finished, and you saw his initiation, a bit of wavering here and there, and rotating will cause June Meng to get a 0. That will be a goose egg for June Meng. Yeah, that car has never been driven before. That's the first time it's been driven. So June Meng obviously having to get the car worked out, and we'll look forward to seeing him in Atlanta. All right, that is a 0 for June Meng as we advance on to our next driver. Long Beach's own Kyle the Menace Mohan. Sitting on GT radials. Here comes the RX-8 of Kyle Mohan. Here Nice job. Whoa! Kyle bringing it on through. Look at that aggressive flick. Whoa! Other side of the rumble strips. Exit stage right. Those are the most powerful cones in the world. These cones are hard as nails. Just let you know the lay of the land for today is looking at the clock, it's just about 2:40. We have qualifying to go till 3:30. We'll have an autograph signing from 3:35 to 4:55. So let's just say 3:30 to 5 o'clock in that estimated vicinity. We have a driver's meeting, which is just mandatory for all drivers and closed to just the drivers. And the streets reopen here at 6 o'clock. And then obviously, you know, tomorrow is the main event. Gates open tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So if you line up, again, gates open at 10 o'clock. Sometimes we open them early, but don't want to guarantee that. Here we go, Dai Yoshihara. 2011 Formula Drift champion. Turn 14, Arc Design, Falcon Tire, Subaru BRZ. Whoa, look at it, Dai Yoshihara. Nice job by Dai. Around the final clip, Dai Yoshihara, 12-year veteran of Formula Drift. Congratulations to him and his wife and their brand new baby boy. Again, Dai Yoshihara, arguably one of the most favorite drivers in the Formula Drift sanction body. Also sponsored by Staple Clothing this year, which is pretty sweet. As Dai Yoshihara finishes it out, and Dai Yoshihara gets an 83 and 8-3 for Dai Yoshihara. Finishing 17th last year in his Tyler McCory Racing GoPro Mobile One Chevrolet Camaro. That is Tyler the Rock McCory from Danville, California, as he leaves that start chicane. Here we go, Tyler McCory. Into view of the judges. Forgoes the touch and go. Gets up in that rear clipping zone. Tightens it up to the judges' wall. Around the final clip. Mashes the throttle through the finish line. Tyler the Rock McCory in his Chevrolet Camaro. A 76 for Tyler McCory. Go with Michael Essa. We talked about him being #1 qualifier last year, changing the chassis setup, the SLP Yokohama Tire Essa Autosports Chevrolet Camaro. Around the final clip, not too shabby for by comparison from his first run to this run. See Essa's second run there on the replay. A 63. Wow, pretty low score there for Essa. 63 for Michael Essa. All right, moving on. Here comes Matt Field CX Racing Black Tracks Rotiform. That supercharged V8. Yeah, Matt Field kissing the wall. Great flow from Matt Field. Oh, just touching that last clip. A great run from Matt Field, a good showing. Man, it just gets better and better with every run. 84 for Matt Field. 8-4 for Matt Field. All right, so Daigo Saito on the start line. Daigo Saito, Achilles Radial GTR R35. Here we go, HPS Max. Look at that, nice job by Daigo Saito. Around the final clip, overshoots it quite a bit. Overshooting that final clip, Daigo. See what kind of score he gets. Remember, gates open tomorrow at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock? All right, so a 72. For Daigo Saito. A 72 is Ken Gucci. Lights up his Hancooks. All right, sending our next car. Ken Gucci, Scion Racing, ready. FRS as the Goosh goes into the tire wall and explodes the back half of the vehicle. Fortunately, hopefully it's just cosmetic. The Rocket Bunny kit got smashed. No bunnies were hurt in the making of this initiation. Just a Rocket Bunny. So clean up on aisle 1. Thank you guys for coming out. Make some noise for all our drivers, would you please, Long Beach. And those at home watching, let me know, hashtag FDLB. All killer, no filler. We will not have Pro 2 this round of competition. We'll see you in Orlando. And remember, you can tune in live if you're here in person for every round of competition. FormulaD.com/live. This is Jared Deanna giving you a play-by-play, casual Friday. But you are here, round 1 of the Formula Drift Championship presented by GoPro. When we come back, we'll continue with more qualifying action. Let's take a quick break and gather our thoughts and clean up the track.
What's next? Big things. Things you never saw coming. So buckle your tool belt. Here comes the all-new Ford F-150. The first and only pickup that lets you do this, and this, and this, all wrapped in a high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body so you can do the most of this. The all-new Ford F-150, the future of tough.
All right, so as quickly as the accident happens, it's quickly cleaned up. So Ken Gucci will receive a 0 and obviously a little bit damage of a vehicle. Hopefully his first score will get him into top 32 as we advance on to our birthday boy, Ryan Hampshire Turk, star of his own show called Turked on Network A, as well as on Drift Garage with his Drift Alliance brother, that is Chris Forsberg. So Ryan Turk, the Retax Lifestyle Backpacks, Maxxis Tires, United States Air Force, Champion Spark Plugs, Hoonigan, Scion FRS. There we go. Good transition there. Not as aggressive as his first run, but now pours it on there into that rear clipping zone. Here in the 2JZ engine as tuned by Nameless Performance. Make some noise for Ryan Hampshire Turk. Nearing into our top 10 drivers, top 11 drivers for the season. All right, so Turk finishes out his run on the replay and receives a score of 80. That's an 8-0 for Ryan Turk. An 8-0, 80 for Ryan Turk. Next up, Ravi Nishida. Ravi Nishida, Achilles Radial, SC300. Again, ideally, the G37 will be in Atlanta. There we go, a lot better than his first run as Nishida gets close to the rear clipping zone in front of the judges and the main grandstand, bringing it on home on the waterfront. Ravi Bushido, Blade Nishida. Happy birthday, Evan. All right, well, there it is, an 80, an 80. An 80 there for Ravi Nishida. So we move on to Conrad Grunwald, always evolving. GT Radial Chevrolet Camaro tuned by BRE. Coming in. Nice aggressive flick. A lot more aggressive than his first one. Megan Racing bringing it on home. Here comes Conrad Grunwald. Nice job. Nice finesse around that final clipping point. Make some noise for Conrad Grunwald. All right, so Conrad Grunwald awaiting his score and gets a 74. A 74 for Conrad Grunwald, the always evolving Chevrolet Camaro. Next up, JTP, Justin Pollock, the Black Stallion. Let's see how JTP does. Justin Pollock. Roush Performance, Falcon Tires, Ford Mustang. Comes into view, tries to work it, does, gets out to that touch and go, narrowly taps the wall, filling that rear clipping zone, bringing it on home, almost came up a bit short, but then wraps it around, makes some noise for JTP, Justin Pollock. Wrapping on that Roush-powered Ford Mustang. Take a look at it again here. Filling that rear clipping zone. Good job there by JTP. What kind of score will he get? An 88 for JTP. Justin Pollock. Justin Pollock gets an 88. A strong showing to get him into top 32. Dean Carney, Oracle Lighting, Dodge Viper on Achilles radial tires. Oh man, just kisses that cone and brings it around that final clip. Let's take a look at it again here from the Dodge Viper of the Irish driver. Got Ignite fuel, sparking it up. Yeah, just worked it in there into that rear clipping zone. A 65 for Dean Carney. As now we're seeing Kenny Moen, another Norwegian driver, up in the mix. All right, car number 22, that'd be Kenny Moen. Kenny Moen got the Gottville Achilles radial STR wheels. And bringing it on around. Look at that, Kenny Moen. Whoa. I mean, it just seems so hairy the way he approaches that rear clipping zone in front of the judges. Let's see what kind of score we're going to see here. As Kenny Moen awaits his score. He has that wide swing into tightening it up, just wrapping it around. And as Kenny Moen gets a 67. That's a 67 for Kenny Moen. All right, Kenny Moen now. We're into top 5. Here comes Forrest Wang. Forrest Wang in the Get Nuts Laboratory. Sylvia S15. Nice job there, close to the wall. Oh! Dropping that back bumper as Forrest Wang gets even tighter to the wall. How does he do? Can he finish strong? And he does. Make some noise for Forrest Wang. So he drops that Super Doof 2F Performance body kit there under the bridge. So Forrest Wang gets a 97 from Forrest Wang in the Get Nuts Laboratory Sylvia S15, and rightfully so, a great showing there. Dropping the back bumper, which allows him to go even closer to that rear wall. Here's Odie Bakshis in that ARC Performance Hyundai Genesis Coupe. V8 under the hood, feel suspension on the corners, Nitto tires around the wheels. Make some noise for Odie Bakshis. Man, Forrest Wang, still an impressive run there. All right, so Odie Bakshis waiting for his score. An 82 for Odie Bakshis. So we advance on to our next driver, 2010 Formula Drift champion in the Monster Energy Mustang RTR on Nitto tires. It is Vaughn Gittin Jr. Let's see how Vaughn does coming into turn 9. Using the whole course, tapping the wall, little out of shape, wall to wall is Vaughn Gittin Jr. Left to right. Let's see how he does. Put an exclamation point on it. And there he is, Vaughn Gittin Jr. Monster Energy Nitto Tire Mustang RTR. All right, so Vaughn Gittin Jr. All right, so there it is, a 90 for Vaughn Gittin Jr. Here we go, Frederick Osbo, Rockstar Energy Drink Scion TC. Come review the judges. Nice getting out to that touch and go. Gets closer than he did on his first run. Bringing on home is the Norwegian Hammer, dropping the hammer. Make some noise for Frederick Osbo. All right, so Frederick Osbo runs. Our last driver will be Chris Forsberg, but first, we caught up with them, our very own Lorette Nickel. Lorette and Chris.
Well, we are down here in hot pit row. Chris Forsberg qualified with a 94. So far, the best score. Is there anything in your mind that you're going through that you want to change in your second run?
No, obviously we got something going for us pretty good, so we're just going to try and back it up with another run just like that, try and get a couple more points. We can push a little bit harder now that we're sitting in a very comfortable position and hoping to hold that #1 spot.
Okay, so when you say you're going to push a little bit harder, what does that actually mean?
A little more throttle, a little deeper angle. We try and play it a little cautious on the first run to ensure that we don't get a 0. And, sometimes it just, the fluidity is there and it feels good. And even if you're playing it a little safe, you still have just nice, smooth transitions and you get it on the walls. But, just trying to get that few more inches to move up and secure that #1 spot.
All right, well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
All right, well, there he is, Iceberg, as he's known. He loves salads, and he's stone cold ice. So our final driver of qualifying day 1 of 2 here at round 1 Streets of Long Beach will be Chris Forsberg. Also, Frederick Osbo's score, a 92. A 92 for Frederick Osbo pushes him up. So currently our points leader, our current leader in qualifying, Forrest Wang. Chris Forsberg currently with a 94, so he's up in the mix, but can he better a near perfect 97 of Forrest Wang's? Comes Chris Forsberg into that touch and go area. Back transitioning, almost kissing the wall. Nice and fluid is Forsberg, but I have to think, by comparison, that Forrest Wang's run was just a little more aggressive, a little nastier, just showing you how hairy it really can get out there. Hey, make some noise, would you please, Long Beach, and those watching at home. Why not wake up your mom, wake up your grandma in the back room, let her know you were just watching Formula Drift. This is qualifying day 1. We are live, but that is officially over with qualifying. We do have a autograph session going on at 4 o'clock. And Chris Forsberg gets an 83. An 83 does not better his first score of a 94. Again, thank you for joining us here. Formula Drift presented by GoPro. GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. The United States Air Force, the official military sponsor of Formula Drift. Ford, go further. Hankook Tires, be one with it. Hankook Tires. Nitto Tire, fueled by enthusiasts. And Achilles Tire, tires you can trust. Associate sponsors include Exity Clutches, Gum Out, NK Wheels, KW Suspension, STR Wheels, Drifts Wheels, and Airlift Suspension. Official sponsors include Optima Battery. Tire suppliers include Falcon Tire, Yokohama Tire, Maxxis Tire, and GT Radial. Technical partners include Momo and Bell One Communications. GoPro, the official camera and presenting sponsor of Formula Drift, is transforming the way racing content is captured, managed, shared, and enjoyed today. GoPro provides a truly unique perspective to enthusiasts and professionals around the world. Visit GoPro.com for the latest news and videos. All right, well, when we come back, we'll close it out here at round 1 of the Formula Drift Championship.